a gente começa, tá, Estelinha?
Started.
Boa tarde, pessoal. Estamos de volta mais uma vez. Hoje teremos a presença do Dr. Jesselson, professor lá nos Estados Unidos, que agora está no Canadá, e vai nos brindar com a sua aula. Então, gostaria de dar as boas-vindas a todos. Dizer que, novamente, tivemos um probleminha na internet, não conseguimos colocar no Facebook neste exato momento, né? Mas a gente coloca um pouquinho mais tarde, não tem problema, né? Então, eu quero chamar aqui para me ajudar a professora Ângela. Oi, professora, boa tarde.
Oi, gente, boa
Professora
tarde,
Ângela.
Milene, boa tarde a todo mundo. E que a gente tenha uma tarde boa de trabalhos, né? E lembrando que nós estamos no 22º Encontro de Violoncelos.
Exatamente, né? 22, meu Deus.
22.
2 patinhos na lagoa. Eu lembro quando eu estava fazendo 22 anos, eu digo, ai, meu Deus do céu.
É o encontro, né? Então,
É isso aí, é isso aí.
E eu queria dizer só, welcome to Professor Jesselson. Thank you so much for being here with us.
Thank you. É bom estar aqui.
Oh, great.
That's about the limit of my Portuguese.
Oh, it's perfect, Dr. Jesselson. We are so glad you are here with us. So I am gonna read a little about you for the students in Portuguese, okay? I'm sorry. Vou ler um pouquinho a respeito do currículo do professor Jesselson para vocês, tá? Então, aqui fala que ele é um professor emérito da University of South Carolina, onde ensinou violoncelo e tocou no American Arts Trio. E ele faz parte do Jesselson Fugo Duo. Em 2013, ele foi nomeado professor do ano do governador pelo governor, né, e pela Comissão de Educação Superior de South Carolina. Ele foi violoncelista principal da Filarmônica da Carolina do Sul e da Orquestra Sinfônica de Las Palmas, Espanha. Seu recente CD de nova música para violoncelo e pinana chama-se Carolina Celebration. Está disponível no CD Baby e Cellos to Go. O Dr. Jesselson foi o presidente nacional da ASTA, American String Teachers Association, de 2000 a 2002. Durante seu mandato, como presidente, ele iniciou o National Studio Teachers Forum, e iniciou o National String Project Consortium. I'm sorry for my English, né? E iniciou o planejamento para a primeira convenção da ASTA Nacional Independente em 2003. Ele foi diretor executivo fundador da National String Project Consortium e atualmente está no conselho do NSPC. O Dr. Jesselson é regente da USC University Orchestra e da Columbia Youth Orchestra e foi professor de violoncelo na South Carolina Governor's School for the Arts por 17 anos. Por 15 anos, ele foi o diretor do projeto Cordas da USC, transformando o projeto em um dos maiores e mais importantes programas de educação de cordas do país. Ele também recebeu o prêmio Cante de 2002 para corpo docente extraordinário, o prêmio Werner de 1992 e a Bolsa de Artista da Comissão de Artes de 1989. O prêmio de Ensino Mundo de 1995 e o primeiro prêmio de professor de estúdio do SC ASTA em 2005. Bom, então, com vocês o professor Jesselson. Eu vou ficar traduzindo a aula, tá, gente? Então, para os demais, assim, a gente pede para tirar o mute, né, tirar a câmera, e a gente vai ficar com o professor Jesselson. Now, professor, I'm going to put you on principal, okay? I will be here trying to translate your class, and Clara will helping us if I have any problem with this, okay?
So, obrigado, Milene. Obrigado, Angela. Thank you so much. Thank you for putting this all together. It's amazing what you've accomplished here. And so they know I'm going to be talking about warm-ups.
Vocês sabem que ele vai falar sobre Ai,
Aquecimento.
aquecimentos, isso. Obrigada, Clarinha. Fica aí, Clarinha, que eu vou precisar de ti. Ok.
So, we spend a lot of time practicing and playing and rehearsing as cellists, but we often don't spend enough time preparing both physically and mentally.
Ok, a gente passa muito tempo estudando, ensaiando, né? Enfim, tocando, mas a gente não se prepara, não passa muito tempo se preparando para isso.
So I've been very interested in the last many years about how different people start the day and start warming up and playing the cello before they play the cello.
Ok, e aí ele começou a pesquisar sobre isso, como pessoas diferentes se preparam para começar a estudar violoncelo.
So I would love to have the opportunity to ask each of you, but it would take way too long, and so I don't have that opportunity. But you can think a little bit about what you do, and you probably will think about it and find that you have certain habits that you do, things that you do without even thinking about it, even before you start playing the cello. Maybe how you take the cello out of the case, for example.
Ok, ele disse que ele gostaria de perguntar para todo mundo o que vocês fazem antes de começar a estudar, mas que ia demorar muito, então ele não vai fazer isso, né? Mas ele disse que todo mundo tem alguns hábitos antes de começar a estudar, né? Que às vezes até o fato de pegar o violoncelo, né? Então ele está falando sobre esses aspectos.
And when you take the cello, you might take a rag, I don't know, maybe you take a rag and you polish your strings first, or maybe you play a little melody, maybe some little thing like that, or some other melody that you're just not even thinking about. You just do something on a regular basis.
Às vezes a gente não pensa muito o que a gente faz, né? Como pegar o violoncelo, limpar, tocar alguma melodia. A gente não sabe bem, às vezes, o que a gente faz regularmente.
So I had a friend who's a clarinetist. Milene, you might know Doug Graham taught at the
Yes.
So he had a little melody that he would always play on the clarinet before he started playing. And another friend, Dick Goodwin, I don't know if you remember Dick Goodwin.
Yes.
He's a composer, and he wrote a piece based on the melody, this little melody that Doug Graham had always played, and he made a whole piece out of it.
Uau! Então ele tem um amigo clarinetista, o Doug, que sempre antes de tocar, antes de estudar o clarinete, ele toca uma melodia. E um amigo dele, compositor, fez uma composição baseada nessa melodia que o Doug toca no clarinete.
So everybody really is different. We're all different people with different needs. And different people warm up in different ways. Some people warm up with stretches, which I think is very, very healthy, or some exercises, or some scales.
Então, como as pessoas são realmente muito diferentes, e cada pessoa faz alguma coisa diferente. Algumas pessoas fazem alongamento, que ele acha muito, muito saudável, outras pessoas fazem exercícios físicos, outras escalas, enfim.
I have one friend who plays in the Baltimore Symphony, a violinist friend of mine, who says that he needs about half an hour to do all kinds of things that he does to warm up before he would play anything, even playing in an orchestra. He can't just go to the violin and start playing.
Ele tem um amigo que começa a fazer... Clara, me ajuda, as escalas, exercícios...
Isso, ele tem um amigo que é violinista da Sinfônica de Baltimore. Isso. E esse amigo dele precisa de pelo menos meia hora antes de tocar qualquer coisa, inclusive na orquestra. Então, ele não consegue chegar na orquestra e pegar o violino para tocar. Ele tem que ficar meia hora aquecendo.
So he's one sort of extreme. On the other extreme, I had master classes with Paul Tortelier in France many years ago. And he would come to the class having not played the cello at all, and he would start to play the fastest scale you can possibly imagine, and he'd say, okay, I'm ready.
O Tortelier, ao contrário, ele encontrou alguns anos atrás, e o Tortelier chegou depois de não ter tocado nada, e pegou o violoncelo e foi tocar a escala mais rápida que alguém pode tocar. E depois de tocar essa escala rapidíssima, ele disse, pronto, estou pronto para começar. Mas Tortelier. Tortelier is Tortelier.
But everybody is different, and
yes.
For me, I'm sort of in the middle. I can actually just do a couple of notes and then I'm ready to play. But everybody has to know what's best for them.
Todo mundo precisa saber o que é melhor para si, né?
But I think what's important is that we realize that cello playing is an athletic activity. We're athletes.
O que a gente precisa saber é que tocar violoncelo é uma atividade de atleta, né? Nós somos atletas.
So just like athletes, you know, will stretch before they start doing whatever sport, we have to also do some things to make sure that we're all ready to play physically and that we're always listening to our body. Listen to what your body is saying.
Ok, como atletas, a gente, antes deles fazerem qualquer esporte, eles têm que fazer alongamento, nós também temos que fazer, e sempre prestando atenção para o nosso corpo, o que o nosso corpo pede. É isso, né, Clarinha? Às vezes eu estou esquecendo alguma coisa, tu me ajuda. Ok, Bob.
Yeah, so we are athletes. I think that's important to realize. We're athletes. We're finger and arm athletes. We're not, you know, huge muscle athletes, but we are athletes with our fingers and our arms and our bodies.
Nós somos atletas com os nossos dedos, nossos braços. Nós não somos grandes atletas, né? Mas somos atletas em pequeno porte, né?
So now I'll go to the PowerPoint. I think as I.
Ele vai colocar um PowerPoint para a gente, né? E para explicar um pouquinho melhor essas.
Can you see that now?
Yes.
Okay, can you see that?
Yes.
Okay, so maybe you can just translate warm-ups and exercises for the cello athlete.
Então, aquecimentos e exercícios para o atleta do violoncelo.
So, for example, then, it's interesting, as I said, how different musicians warm up. And one of the interesting ones for me is Casals, of course, great hero, cello hero. He would say, every day he needs to find first position.
Ok, o Casal sempre fala que todo dia ele precisa encontrar a primeira posição. Ok, não é só ele que perde, gente, tá bom? A gente às vezes perde. We miss the first position. Where is the first position, my God?
He would do that. So first finger, and he'd get a perfect fourth, and his octave. So he said every day he had to find first position. And he would probably do other things also, but I think it's very interesting that first position was that important to him. So what I thought I would do next is just show a few of my kind of warm-up things. And what I do for warm-ups, I consider warm-ups not things that I'm really on the edge of my technique, but things that I'm comfortable with, so I can think about other things. For example, just open strings. We'll do some open strings afterwards.
Ok, então ele fala que ele vai mostrar pra gente o que ele faz para ele, né? Então não necessariamente alguma coisa que está no ápice da técnica, mas alguma coisa que é base, que faz ele se sentir confortável e permite com que ele pense em outras coisas, né?
So one of the things I like to do in the last few years, at least, I've been doing is a little melody that my grandmother sang to me when I was a tiny, tiny, tiny little baby in a baby carriage. She made up a melody for all of her grandchildren, and this was my melody. I'm not warmed up. Do it in the different keys. And so forth. You know, different keys, maybe do it on one string, up and down one string, or just live with that melody. And of course, what I normally am doing as I do that is I'm trying to think of relaxation, relaxing my shoulders, relaxing my arm, thinking about my vibrato. intonation, of course, and you can tell I'm not completely warmed up, but that's a good sort of start for me.
Ok. Então, a avó dele compôs para cada neto uma canção, uma melodia. E essa que ele tocou é a melodia dele. E foi a melodia que ele escolheu para se aquecer. Então, ele faz em várias cordas, de diferentes maneiras, às vezes numa só corda, enfim, no polegar, enfim, de várias maneiras, que é uma maneira que ele se sente confortável para começar a tocar.
So, that melody, by the way, I had forgotten it for many years, and all of a sudden it came back to me a couple of years ago. It was so deeply inside of me that all of a sudden that came back. But then other things I do, one of the first things I often do is just... I do a little sort of Mixolydian Scale, just to go up and down a little bit like that, would be one typical thing I'd be doing.
Ok, então ele falou que essa melodia da avó dele, ele esqueceu por muitos anos e de repente, subitamente veio na cabeça dele e ele começou a usá-la, né? E aí ele está falando que uma outra maneira que ele se aquece é usando essas escalas rápidas Mixolydian, né? Para, enfim, colocar os dedos aquecidos.
So, or another thing maybe... So I'm just doing string crossings here, just to feel nice and calm and open with the arm and that sort of thing.
Ok, ele também se aquece com esses acordes, né, para colocar o braço se mexendo, enfim, né, para cima e para baixo, enfim, é uma maneira que
Same chords going up here, doing the same kind of a thing.
Os mesmos acordes, ele está indo para cima, usando o polegar, né, explorando essa posição mais aguda do violoncelo.
Yeah. Often, Kosman is a good opening for me, sometimes after I've done a little bit of stretching and that kind of thing. That one, and then there's the other one. There are two different Kosman exercises that I think are very good.
Ok, outro exercício que ele gosta muito de fazer é do Kosman, né? Que são esses dois que ele acabou de tocar para a gente, que são muito interessantes e ele usa bastante para aquecimento.
And by the way, for the first one, this is another alternate fingering then. So when you add one, he doesn't have that in his music, but instead of doing, you just do 2, 4, 3, 4 then at the end.
Tá, então ele tá adicionando esse novo dedilhado no último pedacinho do exercício, ao invés de colocar 1, 3, 2, 3, colocar 2, 4, 3, 4 para exercitar um pouco mais o quarto dedo.
Right. So Chromatic Scale is a good one. You know, these are things that you know, you should probably have in your fingers anyway, and we use these. Just doing it on all the strings, a little chromatic scale, and you can play games with it. You can do groups of 3, groups of 4, 6, and so forth. You can do the whole thing, and do the same thing in the upper octave. You can use that to the proper Hungarian Rhapsody if you're working on.
Ok. As escalas cromáticas também são bastante usadas por ele. Ele acha muito interessante a gente usar as escalas cromáticas como exercício de aquecimento e agrupando de 3 em 3, 4 em 4, 6 em 6, enfim, fazendo de maneiras diferentes.
This is, of course, separate from my practicing of scales, which will come later in my practice session. But this is just a warm-up, and I spend maybe 5 minutes in warm-ups of every day a different kind of a warm-up.
Então, cada dia ele fica mais ou menos uns 5 minutos para se aquecer. 5 minutos, não é escala ainda, ele só está se aquecendo.
So one of the hardest things, I think, at least for me, one of the hardest things about playing the cello is shifts. And I know from my own experience, from my own body and so forth, that what gets tight for me is often these muscles in here that are really important for big shifts, long shifts, or short shifts. And so I spend a good bit of warm-up time every day, at least one kind of a shifting exercise. And the one that's I think is really, really useful is in foyer, the foyer number 16, that and so forth, right? Notice when I do that one, I do it 4 to a bow with a slide in the middle. The way it's written is 8 in a bow, and I think that's you get too tight, at least at first.
Ok, então ele, como sempre teve um pouco de dificuldade com as mudanças de posição por causa dos músculos do braço, né, que te possibilitam fazer essa mudança, então ele todos os dias se aquece um pouco com exercícios como esse do feiar, que ele acabou de tocar para a gente, que é o feiar número 16, tá?
So there are a million shifting exercises, and many of them I just kind of, have made up for myself, for myself and for my students, like that sort of an exercise. There are just a lot of them that, part of the warm-up for me is kind of self-discovery, things about the cello, just learning things about the cello. And when you come up with these different exercises, I mean, you can just do a shifting exercise. Something as simple as that, doing it on all the strings and figuring out the different contact points that you need and so forth.
Ok, então ele está falando que a maior parte dos exercícios que são considerados de aquecimento, na verdade é um autoconhecimento, né? A gente passa se conhecendo, vendo o que o corpo precisa e tentando descobrir exercícios. Então ele mostra que muitos dos exercícios foi ele que inventou e existem milhões de exercícios de mudanças, então ele mostrou alguns dos exercícios e diz que não interessa se é muito simples, o que interessa é você estar tentando procurar, não é? É muito importante isso.
And of course, as I'm doing any of these exercises in my head, I'm thinking about the good technical things to think about. It's not just playing the notes.
Não é só tocar a nota, a gente tem que pensar tecnicamente como fazer uma mudança. É muito importante estar pensando.
So, for example, if I'm thinking about shifting like that, I'm thinking about the preparation of the elbow and the release of the finger. So preparation and release. You can see my elbow going ahead. I'm thinking about the speed of the shift. Do I want to do fast, slow, or slow, fast, or fast, fast, or slow, slow?
Muito importante pensar nessas qualidades técnicas, né, que a gente tem. Então, quando a gente vai fazer a mudança, quais são os músculos, quando o movimento vai rápido, devagar, a preparação como é que chama? Cotovelo, né, Clarinha? A preparação, me ajuda aí.
A preparação do cotovelo.
Preparação do cotovelo.
Se ele quer a saída e a chegada rápidas ou devagar,
Isso,
como tudo isso ele pensa antes, enquanto ele está fazendo o exercício.
Or which side of the finger? I would want to shift on this side of the finger, on the higher side of the finger.
Qual lado do dedo a gente tem que pensar? Isso eu nunca tinha pensado. I've never thought about that. The side of the finger, né? Então, ele diz que ele pensa até no lado do dedo, gente. Socorro, é muito pensamento, né?
Or exercises like going up and down. So I go, by doing that, I'm thinking as I start down, and then I come up, I'm coming out of the string a little bit. That way you come out of the string, so you're not pressing into the string.
Ok, um movimento pensando para fora da corda, né? You think also about your column? your column to do the movement of the. Do you think about doing the movement with your body also for this?
So I would start.
Yes.
As I'm going up, I'm coming up. Or even just the way the head is. You know?
Ele pensa no movimento da coluna, até no movimento da cabeça, quando faz mudanças muito importantes.
Or thinking, let's say, that if I'm doing a fast shift, that I'm going forward and then releasing this way, not going this way, but going actually, and so I make a figure 8 like that. So I'm just giving things, just saying things that that I might be thinking about, because you should always be thinking when you're doing these exercises.
Ele diz que é muito importante a gente ficar pensando enquanto está fazendo os exercícios, não é fazer por fazer. Então, quando ele está fazendo qualquer tipo de mudança, ele está pensando no movimento do braço, que quando faz um 8, quando faz o movimento ao contrário, para trás, enfim. Sempre pensar.
Or I might want to just think about all the different C's on the cello. You know, how many different C's do I know? So. All the different C's all over the cello that I can play, or maybe. And maybe listen to the color difference.
Pensando nas cores diferentes, ele disse que uma das coisas que ele faz também é pensar nos diferentes dós, né? O dó da corda lá, da corda ré, harmônico, na corda sol, na corda dó, e ele vai buscando as diferentes cores desses sons, muito importante também.
Okay, so now I'm going to go back to the PowerPoint and go on to the next slide if I can do that. Let's see. Okay, so these are some of the things that you might want to think about in your warm-ups. So we could have stretches, or, well, maybe you can translate stretches or balance.
Ok. Stretch, alongamentos, balance, equilíbrio, né? Clarinha, me ajuda aí.
Alongamentos, equilíbrio, força,
coordenação, flexibilidade, eficiência, endurance, resistência. Velocidade, né? Agilidade, relaxamento e as distâncias, como é que é? A medida das distâncias, isso.
Okay.
Yes.
These are just some of the things, and of course, depending on what you personally, everybody has their own issues, what things you should think about. But I think it's good to kind of rotate around a lot of the things that we need to think about technically.
Ele fala que é muito importante a gente fazer como uma rotação dessas buscas, né? A gente está procurando todas essas... Ai, Clarinha, socorro, me ajuda aqui, agora está falhando aqui.
A gente fica é importante ficar rotando entre todos esses conceitos para saber exatamente o que a gente está aplicando.
Exatamente. Não ficar preso só em um, né? It's important not fix just in one point, right? É isso aí, não ficar preso em um. Tentar ver sempre coisas diferentes enquanto a gente está se alongando. Ângela, pode falar também, please.
Ele quer que a gente faça esses itens assim e rode desses itens. Comece uma hora um, depois o outro, não ficar nessa ordem assim.
Ok.
Tá ótimo.
Okay. And again, these are not things necessarily that are on the edge of the technique, but things that you want to feel so that later when you're playing something that's difficult, when you're working on something that's hard, that you're not going to be thinking about, let's say, relaxation so much anymore, but you can snap into it if you need to.
Coisas que a gente, quando está estudando realmente uma passagem difícil, a gente não precisa ficar pensando como o relaxamento, né? Ele vem automaticamente.
So I want to start with just some basic stretches. I don't know how many people do stretches. When I ask my own students, I have to kind of remind them to do stretches.
Porque ele vai falar um pouquinho a respeito do alongamento. Ele fala que não sabe quantos de nós fazemos alongamentos, mas para os estudantes ele tem que lembrar de fazer os alongamentos. Ok.
Everybody
Alongamentos.
can do this, right? Like
Yes.
kind of a thing, right? And this, by the way, is
Já lá
hello
assumi aí,
cello.
querida.
That's the international symbol for cello playing, right? Hello cello. So,
Isso, ele faz os alongamentos com os dedos, né? Ele vai mostrar os vários alongamentos que ele faz. Então, tá ali o alongamento com o dedo. Ok.
okay, so that's, and you know, these kind of stretches with the fingers like that are really important because one of the most unnatural things in playing the cello is just doing an extension, you know, like that.
Ótimo. É muito importante esses alongamentos, porque, por exemplo, não é natural a gente fazer a extensão com o primeiro dedo. Então, esses alongamentos preparam a gente para a extensão.
So I have, my hand is quite tight here, just naturally tight. There's a tendon that goes here that's quite tight in my hand. So I had to work very hard when I was a student to try to stretch out here to be able to get an extension.
Milene?
Não, ele está falando que ele teve vários problemas com o tendão, né, da mão esquerda, e ele teve que trabalhar realmente muito muito duro, né, para conseguir fazer isso, porque ele teve esses problemas, né?
So I did lots of work for that, and eventually I realized that you can see my left hand has a much bigger stretch than my right hand now. Because I was able to stretch this out and just keep working with it slowly, slowly. And I would walk around Freiburg where I went to school. I would walk around with a cork, a wine cork, in between the first and second. I would just walk around all day like this.
Ai, meu Deus do céu. Como ele fazia muitos alongamentos, né? E em Freiburg, onde ele estudou, ele às vezes ia com uma rosca, é isso, Angela?
Uma rolha de vinho, uma rolha de vinho.
Para abrir. Hoje vocês veem que a mão esquerda dele abre muito mais, né, o dedo do que a outra, a direita.
So I just walk around like this. Of course, I would enjoy drinking the wine too.
Of course. Claro que ele tomava o vinho junto, né? Lógico, né? Yes.
So some other stretches. This one I think is a really good one. If everybody's sitting down, you can try. So under the chair stretch means going down like this. I don't know if you can see me, but
no, but
yes.
And letting your arms kind of go back and forth like this, as just nice and relaxed like that. And that stretches out your back in a good way.
Ele falou que um dos alongamentos para as costas é sentar e justamente colocar o corpo para frente da cadeira e balançar os braços, que dessa maneira a gente vai estar alongando as costas, né? Os músculos das costas.
So when I do classes with my own students, I'll start out everybody just going under and feeling like the elephant trunk, you know, the trunk of an elephant, that it's going like this as you're under the chair like that.
Quando ele trabalha com alunos mais velhos, também ele coloca para se sentir como a tromba do elefante, né? Fazendo esse tipo de exercício.
Shoulder shrugs are this, going forward and going backwards.
Esse é o shoulder shrug, eu não sei o que é, gente.
Shrug, like
encolher de ombros.
Encolher de ombros.
Mudar de ombros.
But you roll them around backwards and forwards.
Enrolando para frente e para trás, né?
That's very important because our strength comes from our shoulders and the back. And if
Tem muita força vindo de cima, né? Então é muito importante fazer esse exercício.
Head rolls.
Fazer esses movimentos com a cabeça, né?
What you do in one direction, do in the other direction. So you go this way.
Faz numa e faz na outra direção. Muito importante.
And of course, slowly. I'm doing it very fast now, and you do a couple of times. You don't have to do every one every day. You do different ones every day.
Não precisa fazer todos todo dia. E muito importante fazer devagar também. Não rápido como ele está fazendo aqui para mostrar para a gente, né? Mas bem devagarzinho.
Upper arm pull, pulling the arm this way, stretching out the shoulder again, and these muscles here, just stretching them out.
Ok, então aqui, ó, ele mostrando para a gente esticar o braço, né? E puxando assim para esticar o músculo.
And what you do on one side, you do on the other side too. You have to do both
Se
sides.
você faz num lado, tem que fazer do outro também. Muito importante, né? Nunca deixar de fazer do outro lado.
And a good thing to do is to rotate in circle like this and rotate in the other direction in circle.
Olha lá, ele falou de fazer em rotação para um lado e para o outro também. Isso eu nunca tinha feito.
Okay?
Rotate like that, I've never seen that. rotate like no.
Oh.
That's
So
good.
this is one of my favorite ones, is the anti-tendonitis stretch. A lot of cellists have, unfortunately, because they're not using their bodies well, they have tendonitis. I don't know how that, you know.
Tendinite.
Tendinite, sim. Muitos músicos têm tendinites, né? Porque eles não usam o corpo direito, né?
So,
We had a speech about this, the health musician. It's very, very important.
yeah, very important. But if you're playing the cello correctly, the cello is very natural, and you should have no problem. But the problem is that you get into habits of tension, and then it develops there. So, one of the things I'm proudest of with my studio is that I virtually had no students who've had tendonitis.
Ele nunca teve estudante com
from the bottom, very, very carefully, making sure everything is right in the way you play.
Ok, isso é uma das coisas que ele fica muito feliz, que na sala dele, com os alunos, ele nunca teve nenhum estudante com problemas sérios, né? Porque ele sempre se preocupa com isso. Muito importante o violoncelo é um instrumento muito natural, né? Então, se a gente sente dor é porque alguma coisa a gente está fazendo errado, né?
So the anti-tendonitis stretch is put your hands like this, and you go down slowly like this, very slowly, not to have any pain. If there's pain, stop.
O antitendinite, né, é para ir bem devagarinho e apertar as mãos. Se doer, aí tem que parar.
And then you come back up,
Parar.
shake it out.
Isso, então fazer várias vezes e relaxar.
And then the opposite is also good. You go like this, and go this way, and then come back. And
Fazer.
Always shake out.
Ok, sempre mexendo, né? Aproveita e reza, faz uma oração para ver se aprende direito a tocar. Né? Oh, brincadeira. I'm just kidding that you can pray also just to make sure that you are going to be a good cellist.
Yes, I think that's good use. Yes, right.
Okay, let's try.
I think that is one of the most important stretch to do, and I think that should be done, especially if you have a tendency to have a problem with tendonitis, to do it almost every day.
Ok, esse é um dos exercícios que realmente, principalmente se você tem alguma tendência de ter tendinite, que tem que ser feito todos os dias, assim.
Just simple things like wave bye-bye.
Wave bye-bye.
Dá tchau, bye-bye.
Wave é em ondas, né?
Or wave bye-bye this way is also good. Or make in the circles like that. Circle kind of things are very, very healthy, right, to do. All just relaxing as you're doing it.
Exercícios para relaxar como esses são muito importantes para ser feitos todo dia, né?
And wave bye-bye side to side also.
Wave bye-bye, que é esse tipo de movimento que ele fala de lado, assim, muito importante para a gente fazer. A gente usa muito esses exercícios, né?
This is extremely important for some of the strokes. This kind of a stroke.
Exercício muito importante para alguns golpes de ar.
And for vibrato too.
Para vibrato também. Ok.
Finger rubs, just rubbing each of the joints is very good because it gets the blood flowing.
Para a gente massagear todas as juntas dos dedos para ter certeza que o sangue está correndo bem, né? Então, massageando cada junta dos dedos, né? Falange a falangina e falangeta. Eu lembro do meu professor de biologia. I had a professor of biology, ele sempre falava. Essa tipo de massagem.
Finger push-ups are this.
Esse.
Flexão de dedo.
Finger push-ups.
Flexão de dedo, vê, gente. Isso eu não tinha visto ainda, viu? Ok.
You can do that on the cello, of course, also, just right on the cello.
Pode fazer no... O que é um jellyfish, hein, gente?
Água viva.
Água viva, isso.
Água viva.
Yeah.
Exercício de água viva, olha lá, gente.
It feels very nice. If you do it softly, it feels very good.
Se a gente faz devagarzinho, a gente se sente muito bem. Ai, nunca tinha visto, olha que legal.
So, and then box exercises. The box exercises are making a box, like a square box, like this, and then go in the opposite direction, and then making circles out of it, out of a box. And that is very good for practicing string crossings at the frog.
Ah, olha aqui, ó. Exercícios da caixa, como deixar a mão numa caixa e fazer o quadrado, né, para um lado, para o outro, fazer os círculos, e isso ajuda muito na troca de cordas, né, os dedos ficarem mais flexíveis para trocar a corda no talão. Ó. Então, o dedo...
like that are excellent for understanding how and making it so the wrist can move bigger, a bigger motion, so it's not blocked.
O movimento não fica bloqueado, né? Clarinha, ajuda aí.
So we don't have to do this, but we can do just this.
O movimento pode ficar menorzinho, pequeno, né?
Esses exercícios fazem com que o nosso pulso faça movimentos maiores.
Doing the jellyfish.
Ah!
And here's my grandson. He's doing the finger monster, I call it. The finger monster.
Finger monster. Ai, o monstro dedo, né? Alguma coisa assim. É o netinho dele.
So then I thought it would be useful to talk about some basic principles with even just open strings. Oh no, basic principles in general. Just general basic principles that one should be aware of as you're warming up. One is that the body is just in an alignment, so that you're not sitting in a funny way. Everything's aligned.
Ele está falando de princípios básicos de uma maneira geral. Então, muito importante a gente entender o alinhamento do corpo, para o corpo não estar torto, ele tem que estar, né, retinho, a gente se sentir confortável.
That there are no kinks. I call a kink when you have this, like bent like this, or bent like this, or any...
Como a gente traduziria kink?
Sem torções ou sem...
equina, né?
Fechados. Isso.
Another basic principle is that muscles shouldn't be fighting muscles. Like, for example, in vibrato, you don't want a muscle who's trying to get you to go this way, fighting the muscle this way. It has to be very, very relaxed. And that's the basic principle for a lot of our playing, is that the muscles need to not fight each other.
Muito importante isso. Os músculos não tem que ficar brigando entre eles, né? Eles não são inimigos, né? Eles têm que estar se ajudando. É isso, né, Angela?
Sim,
ajuda aí.
Sim.
É isso aí.
And of course, tension is just the enemy of all of these things. Tension is the enemy of cellists and musicians.
A tensão é o inimigo dos cellistas e é inimigo de tudo isso que ele está falando, né?
So one of the things in the warm-ups is that you're paying attention that there's no extra tension at that point.
Muito importante a gente ver se não tem tensão extra em tudo aquilo que a gente está fazendo, né?
A basic rule is if you can move a body part, the muscle is just more relaxed. If you're tight, you can't move a body part, and everything should be nice and easily movable.
Ok, então a regra é, se você pode mover uma parte do corpo, o músculo tem que estar mais relaxado.
So one thing to check in when you're doing your warm-ups is that you're sitting in a good way, that you have a good chair, the right height chair. A lot of students don't have good chairs, actually, and so they end up sitting in a bad way.
Então, é muito importante a gente prestar atenção numa boa cadeira para sentar, porque muitos estudantes não têm um bom local para sentar, para estudar. Faz com que a posição fique um pouco errada, diferente, trazendo dores, né?
And that, of course, that the end pin height is correct for where you want to be. That your sitting position, that your legs are in the good place. So when you're playing, even just an open string, that you're able to think about just how you're sitting.
Ai, gente, espigão. Ai, meu Deus, já tô esquecendo o português. A altura do espigão tem que ser certa, justamente para te deixar confortável, para quando estiver fazendo uma corda solta, conseguir sentir o movimento do braço sem nenhum impedimento, né?
So one of the things to check in with the sitting position is the 3 points that I look at. That the lower bout here, this is you can't really see it for me now, but that it's between the knees and that it's not too high up there. The second
Então,
thing that it hits you in the middle of the chest, and that it's about 3 fingers here. So you don't want to end it up like this, or too close like this, or too high, or too low. Just checking in. Always a good thing to do is to hug your cello and check.
Para a posição sentada com o cello, é muito importante a gente ver a parte de baixo do violoncelo onde bate, que ele fala que é no meio dos joelhos, né? Onde o violoncelo segura no meio do peito e 3 dedos acima do ombro para ver onde é que ele vai bater. Enfim, a melhor regra é abraçar o violoncelo e sentir que ele está confortável, né? A gente está confortável com o cello. Não se sentir nem oprimido pelo cello, né? Muito alto, assim, né? A gente tem que estar abraçando. We must hug the cello comfortably, né? Not like that. Not like a bass. Sometimes we see the students like that, hugging the cello like that.
Not here, but down low.
Abraçar mais embaixo do cello, né? Mais confortável.
So just doing, I think one of the best warm-ups is just doing an open string. I didn't say that before, but I would almost always start with just a good, basic open string.
Ok, isso é uma coisa que ele fala que é muito importante a gente pensar nas cordas soltas, né? Que são uma das coisas que ele faz sempre, todos os dias, para começar, né? Corda solta para ver como é que tá todas as posições, enfim.
And thinking about the 3 principles of tone production, the contact point, the weight, and the speed, so that you're trying very close to the bridge or very high contact point, some different kinds of sounds that you can get. Just doing the open string, making sure the bow is parallel to the bridge, all the very basic things.
Sim, tem que pensar nas coisas bem básicas do arco, né? O ponto de contato, velocidade, o peso, se ele está paralelo com a corda, qual é o som que tira, como faz, como não faz. Então tem que estar sempre pensando nessas coisas. O estudar é um ato pensante. When we study, we are always thinking about what we are doing, right? Never just doing the things, just thinking about.
And that's why if you can spend a couple of minutes just doing very basic things like an open string, then you are already zeroing in on the cello and going away from the outside world where everything's, so crazy. You just focus in on the sound of the cello. It's a really healthy thing.
É uma coisa muito saudável, né? Se a gente pode se focar, às vezes, em coisas muito básicas, como o som do violoncelo, todos esses princípios básicos. É muito, muito saudável.
So then, again, open strings, just the dead weight, using the dead weight for the sound. I'm not going to spend time now, but just that one's feeling a good sound when one starts, that you don't start like that, but that you start with a very clear cut sound.
A gente tem que começar com um som realmente
limpo, né? Usando esse peso morto, né? Ele chama de peso morto todo esse relaxamento.
Relaxamento, é isso aí.
Very often I like to start just what I call the getting in the string exercise, which is just move the string with the weight of the arm, move the string back and forth a little bit. And then very, very slow, because if you go too fast, you don't get a good sound. So that you get a good start to the sound.
Então ele fala que para chegar dentro da corda, né, colocar o arco na corda, mover um pouquinho para ver se o arco realmente está na corda e tirar esse arco da corda de maneira que a gente consiga entender o som que tu queres tirar. Se é muito rápido, vai ser um som meio agressivo, enfim. Pesquisar um pouco isso.
How the upper arm and the lower arm work as you're playing. I'll just go through this very quickly here now. So that as you're going to the middle, it's the upper arm. And as you get to the tip, it's the lower arm.
Muito importante isso. A gente às vezes não pensa, né? Mas ajuda aí, pessoal.
Na parte superior do arco, fala, Clarina, fala você.
A parte superior do braço controla
até o meio do arco.
Isso. E aí a parte inferior controla do meio para a ponta do arco. Que a gente não separa esses movimentos, mas a gente pode pensar assim.
So you're playing upper arm, lower arm, lower arm, upper arm.
Braço em cima e embaixo. Mas a gente fala outra, como é que é antebraço e braço, né, gente? Então, o braço até a metade do violoncelo e o antebraço da metade para a ponta, né? Então, pensar nesse movimento, né, que a gente muitas vezes não pensa.
And that the elbow is really, this is one that people don't realize a lot, that the
O
elbow
cotovelo,
goes
hein, gente?
in an arc.
O movimento do cotovelo que ele faz, ó. Que é um movimento
like that.
Movimento redondo, ó. Ele vai de baixo e sobe para chegar na ponta, ó.
So it's going in a semicircle, in an arc.
Em semicírculo, num arco. É o movimento do... Ai,
So,
como é que...
Milene, I know we're running out of time. Maybe I should go very quickly, and I don't know if people have questions, but maybe I should go very quickly through, I'll just run through this because I have a lot more stuff here, just to say some of the things. So I think very important is contrary motion, is going in the opposite direction. And we could spend a little bit of time on that, but I won't spend the time. But that one goes in the opposite direction from the bow for balance. Right. There are lots of other exercises for open strings, and I think, it's really important to spend time maybe playing on the upper side of the string and the lower side of the string. Things like that you can, just open strings, just working.
Ele está falando de balanço, de movimento, a gente leva o arco para um lado, o corpo para o outro, né? Fazendo um movimento contrário, pensando no movimento do arco para baixo, para cima, numa mesma corda. Balanço.
Balance kinds of things that if you hold your bow out and you lift your little finger, you should have that. In other words, your bow is just balanced in your hand, and you're gonna basically it'll go like that. If you're squeezing between the thumb and the second finger, when I left my little finger, it'll stay like that. That's bad.
Ok, então ele está falando da posição dos dedos, do dedinho mindinho, né, do mindinho, e que às vezes ele fica em cima para ajudar esse movimento do arco que ele está fazendo aí, ó, gente. Ó, não deixar o arco cair, né, ajuda aí, Ângela, que às vezes
Isso,
é muito
e ele
ruim.
falou também que se a gente apertar, né, o polegar e o dedo do meio também não é bom, né? Então tem que ter esse balanço entre os dedos.
This is an excellent exercise for bow speed by Tortolier, where you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 1, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, and so forth. That you're using the full bow and changing your contact point. So it's an excellent exercise. It's a good warm-up.
Muito bom esse exercício que mostra a diferença de velocidade, a diferença de pontos de contato, enfim, usando sempre a mesma sonoridade, né, para trabalhar.
So I'm skipping a lot of that stuff. It's just not enough time to talk about. Strength, isometrics is really important. Figuring out using weight instead of pressure. The difference between weight and pressure on the left hand. So you're not pressing down on the string.
A diferença da pressão para peso, né? Ele quer que use peso e não pressão.
So you're lifting the finger and not pressing it.
Pensar em levantar o dedo e não em ficar pressionando.
Oh, I love this. I'll do less skilled finger exercise. That's all the combinations of the fingers. You can see on the bottom there, it's all the combinations 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 4, 3. So all the combinations, that's an excellent exercise for that.
Então ele está dando exercícios do audulesco, né, de
relaxation. We could spend an entire session on just relaxation and breathing, square breathing and so forth. And I just wanted to tell people, a lot of my warm-up exercises are on the on this Google site. If they just google.com Robert Jesselson, they can find it that way. Or they can email me if they want to have more information about any of this.
Tá, então ele está deixando livre para quem quiser acessar. Ele tem essa página com grande parte desses exercícios e que quem quiser escrever para ele, está aí o e-mail dele, né, rjesselson@mozart.edu, né, e que vocês são livres para acessar, enfim, fazer perguntas diretamente para ele, que ele vai se sentir bastante feliz de compartilhar o que...
On warm-ups, it's called the warm-up blog that I did for Cello Bello. I don't know if people are familiar with Cello Bello, but it was on Cello Bello. It's easier to find it. Both the warm-up blog and the Foyer blogs that I have, it's much easier because it's in order on my website rather than Cello Bello. It's on Cello Bello still, but it was done every week on Cello Bello for over a period of 2 years.
Ele está falando do Cello Bello e de onde a gente consegue acessar, que ele tem outras páginas, que é importante a gente ter esse acesso, né, mostrando que tem várias oportunidades, né. Então, o Cello Bello, ele weekly, semanalmente, né, tem sempre coisas acontecendo, né, para a gente ir atrás, que a gente consegue saber mais informações pontuais a respeito disso.
Follow the Cello Bello page, and I didn't know that was you that are organizing it.
Oh, well, I didn't organize it. My former teacher, Paul Katz, is the person who has that complete website, Cello Bello. But I did a series of blogs on warm-ups, and I did a series of blogs on bow technique.
Técnica de arco.
Kind of out of order, so it's better to find it on my website there.
Na página web dele, que a gente tem tudo mais organizadinho, né? É importantinho. Okay, Dr. Jesselson, so thank you a lot for this explanation. It's very, very important for we all. We appreciate. Thank you so much for that. And I think we have some questions in our chat. They want to know about this material, but you already talked about, and well, so I think during...
Acho que não tem, não. Acho que
yes,
tá tranquilo, viu?
During the class, if someone has some question, they are going to put it on the chat.
Yeah,
so I think
they're welcome to email me if there's something that they want to contact me about.
So okay. Ok, quem quiser escrever um e-mail para ele fica bem feliz de responder, não tem problema. Ok, Dr. Jesselson, so I think we can start with the students, right?
Sure.
Let's see, the first one who's going to play for you. It's just here, I just have to find. And, oh my God. Here it is. Here, Dante Pangilef Schuller. He's not from Brazil. Dante, você tá aí, querido? Let's see if Dante, yeah. Dante's here.
Hello.
Olá. Hello. Oi, Dante, de onde você é? Oh, the internet. I think we are having some problem. De onde você é, Dante? Hello?
Ele tá com o som mutado.
Ah, tá com som. Não.
Não.
Para mim aparece. Para mim aparece.
Dante, de onde você é, Dante?
Eu sou de Chile.
Ah, he's from Chile. Chile. Okay, Chile. So, Dante, I think Dr. Jesselson.
Can you tell a little bit about himself, just his background?
Ok, se tu puderes falar um pouquinho a respeito do teu background com violoncelo, ele queria saber. Pode falar.
2 years. I study Bachelor of Music in University of Antofagasta. My teacher is Macarena Villa. I concurrently sorry, my English is so bad.
No, say it in Spanish if you want.
Habla en español, Dante, y yo traduzco, no pasa nada.
Listen.
Yo comprendo un poco español.
Ahí va.
Entonces hablo en español. Como dije, estudio música en la Universidad de Antofagasta. Mi profesora de cello es Macarena Vía y actualmente realizo un curso de audiciones para violonchelo con la maestra Bárbara Pidroska de la Filarmónica de Boca del Río.
Okay, did you understand? Okay. What are you going to play?
Voy a jugar Haydn en Do, el primer movimiento.
Okay. Hiding dog?
Sí.
Okay.
Do you want to play the whole thing, the whole first movement?
¿Quieres
Todo
tocar el
primero
primer movimiento entero?
Yes, sí.
Okay.
Bueno, ¿quién sabe? Paras después de la primera página para ir a los poquitos.
Stop in the first solo.
Yes, just first page, a primera página y ¿qué piensas? ¿Posible?
O everything, todo.
Te pide que toques la primera página y después vamos parando y seguís tocando, ¿sí?
It might be better to play just the first page, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because then we can talk.
No, pares para oír.
Okay, very nice. Bravo. I don't know. Everybody's applauding, I'm sure. Let's see. I can't quite see you for some reason now. Let me see if I can. There you go. Okay, very nice. Okay, and of course I heard your tape of playing the rest of the concerto. And actually, you didn't send the cadenza. Do you play the cadenza also?
Yes, I play the cadenza. Maurice Gendron cadenza. I play.
Which one?
Él te pregunta si tocas la cadenza porque no la ha enviado.
No la envié.
No, a cadencia, sí cadencia.
Sí, la toco la cadencia de Maurice Gendron.
Pero calma. Él só te ha preguntado. Sí.
I'm just
Bueno.
asking. I just was asking whether you play a cadenza or not.
Yes, he plays the cadencia from Gendron.
Okay, good. From genre. Okay, nice. So very nice. Before I say anything, I just want to say, do you have any questions about anything that you want to ask?
¿Tienes alguna pregunta a hacer?
Sobre la
¿Quieres?
primera parte,
Sí,
o sea, lo voy a decir en español porque aquí ya...
sí,
No pasa
sí,
nada.
habla en español, no hay problema, pasa nada.
Sobre los saltillos del principio. Como, ¿en qué parte del arco conviene hacerlo? ¿Hacer como un poco más de arco o solo en la punta? Y después retomar en el fa.
How can he does that? He doesn't know if in parts of the bow.
How to use the bow in that phrase.
Yes.
Yeah, good. That's one of the things I did want to talk about. So that's great that you're asking that. You're getting around the cello very, very well. You know, this concerto, especially this, have you played the rest of the concerto, the other movements?
¿Has tocado todo el concierto? ¿Los dos otros movimientos? ¿Sí? Sí.
Good, great. Because a lot of people get stuck on the first movement and then don't play the rest of the movements, and I think the other movements are, you know, extremely important to play also and very beautiful and so forth. So this concerto, especially this first movement, is very deceptive about how difficult it is.
Sí. Este primer movimiento es muy, muy importante. Embora mucha gente no toque los otros movimientos, pero se completan y es importantísimo conocer los otros. Bueno, es muy, como se dice, Clara.
Enganador, ele é muito enganador, não sei
Que
como
el
é que
primer
é.
movimiento te engaña un poco porque es más difícil de lo que parece.
Sí, es muy, muy difícil.
People think that it's not that difficult, and you know, people can kind of play it, but to play it really well on a high level is very difficult. And one of the reasons is the key is C major. You think, oh, that's an easy key. No sharps, no flats. But C major is one of the hardest keys to play in tune.
Él está diciendo que Do mayor es una de las peores escalas para tocar porque es realmente muy difícil de comprender para tocar afinado.
So there's some of the technical things, like, for example, what we'll talk about with the bow. But I think one of the hardest things also with this is playing musically really well, and especially playing in a classical style really well.
Una de las cosas más difíciles es tocar musicalmente bien y en el estilo clásico bien también. Perfectamente es muy difícil, ¿no?
Sobre esa misma parte tengo también una pregunta sobre dentro del estilo. ¿Cómo podría pensar los trinos dentro de este estilo? ¿Hacerlo un poco más barroco o el trino normal? ¿De atrás para adelante o de adelante para atrás?
The question of the trinos,
Hoja.
the trills. He
Right.
wants to know if he starts from the first note or the note above, like more Baroque style, or...
Yeah, that's not exactly what I was referring to when I say that it has to be classical style. But yes, I think generally, I mean, there's several different kind of trills that you can do here, but generally, yes, generally from the top.
Geralmente se empieza pela nota de arriba,
But what I meant about classical style is something a little bit different. I mean that this should be played very, very elegantly, you know? So it's not muscular, and the kind of sound that you want is a more resonant kind of a sound.
¿Has comprendido que tienes que tocar más nobilmente y el sonido debe ser más... ¿Cómo?
Que tiene que sonar mucho, sí, más
resonancia, sí, más
no con fuerza, pero con elegancia y que suene bastante.
Elegância. E, Clarinha, pode traduzir, Clarinha, eu acho que
Pode
mais
deixar.
fácil do que melhor.
Tranquilo.
So you have to realize that this is not much later than the Baroque period. This is a little bit later, but not much. it's not yet in the romantic kind of, you know, it's not that kind of a sound, right? It's so one of the things that we want to do with this kind of style is have probably a faster bow speed and a little bit higher contact point, so it has more resonance and ring, you know. So one hears the ring going out.
Te dice que esa pieza es de que la escribieron un poco después del periodo barroco, entonces que no se toca de una manera tan romántica y que eso puedes llegar a eso con el punto de contacto un poco más alto, así que quede sonando cuando sacas el arco como te mostró.
So if you keep in mind, just as you're living with it and continuing to grow with it, elegance, fast bow speed, high contact point, you know, those are some of the elements of the kind of sound and the kind of style. You want to say that?
Dijo que esos son los 3 puntos que te pueden ayudar: elegancia, un punto de contacto más alto y más rapidez con el arco.
Right. And then another aspect of this that's related to that is I feel when I hear you play that you're thinking a very small beat. Dum, yum, ba-da-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum, bum, ba. So you're feeling like the 8th note a little bit. And I think what you want is a larger kind of a beat structure in it. So, because this is written in 4/4, moderato, right? We don't know what the tempo would be, but you know, it's a little bit related. Your tempo is maybe a little bit on the slower side, but I think you can still do it at this tempo. You might want to bring it up. I think you were probably at 70 when you, on the tape at least, something like 70. I would be probably a little bit faster than, I don't know, maybe you were a little slower than that actually, but I would try to get a little bit faster tempo so it feels the quarter note. Yum, ba-da-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum, ba, bum, ba. Yeah. Okay? So that's a matter of not feeling a small beat in this. You want to,
Capaz que estás subdividiendo mucho, entonces dice que puedes sentir como las frases muy chicas y que capaz que puedes tocar un poco más rápido y así hacer las frases más largas.
And then one other aspect to keep in mind on this is that it's a concerto, and that means it's a show-off piece, right? So you want to, I think you want to get a little bit more of the virtuosity of this piece, whatever that means. Virtuosity could be faster, as we just talked about, maybe a little larger pulse, but also just, you know, doing, well, I'll show you some fingering things afterwards that maybe can be, or even bowing things. That sort of a bow, maybe, you know, you don't have to do that, but just things that are a little bit more virtuosic in that way.
Dijo que es un concepto, entonces que puedes hacer más cosas para lucirte un poco más y que ahora te las va a mostrar como lo que hizo en el arco.
Like, for example, like, so maybe use, just as a difference, you know, use that instead of both times the same thing. And there are a lot of things like that that you can do that make it a little bit more sort of special and virtuoso.
Sí, que hay otras cosas como usar el armónico que puedes usar para que parezca más virtuoso o que puedas lucirte más.
Okay. So just now, then the last thing or the thing that we're actually going to do now is looking a little bit more at the details of every aspect of what you're playing, okay? So that we can, you know, just bring it up a notch still. For example, just be careful in that those are all 8th notes. It's not that.
Que todos tienen la misma duración, que todos son, no sé si en Chile dicen corcheo.
Can you just play that?
Te pide que toques esa parte.
vibrate. So it has a ring, but with the bow, don't stay on the string. Right. That sounds a little harsh to me in the sound, and it may be the internet. This is hard to do over the internet. But can you get more ring? Yeah, so that it has a ring that goes out. So that means, again, a fast bow speed. Like this. Let your arm come around. So play just the E and the C. Good. So the question then is, how technically does one come back after you've done that? How do you come back? Because you're out here or something. How do you come back quickly? Do you want to translate that to?
Sí, te pide que dejes sonar la cuerda y ahora la cuestión es cómo haces para volver con el arco.
And the answer is you use what's called a ballistic motion. Ballistic.
Un movimiento balístico, como de una bala.
So a ballistic motion is like you throw a boomerang and it comes back. So in a ballistic motion, you throw your arm out and it bounces back. Bounce back. Just try that.
Vai e volta. Ida e volta.
Yeah, throw it. If you throw it really far, like you throw a ball, and you're relaxed. If yours is going like this a little bit, yours is going like that. You have to be very relaxed. No, you're stopping here. Yeah, good. Do it again.
Otra vez.
Yeah, and so now do it with the bow in your hand. Don't play. Just.
Sin tocar, por ahora.
No, you're stopping here. Can you see? I'm not doing two motions. I'm not going ta, ta. I'm going ta.
Es solo un movimiento como de rebote.
Sort of, okay. It helps for this kind of thing to have the little finger on the top because it helps with the balancing. So otherwise you're having to grab on with the thumb a little too much. So you're getting stuck here. So in other words, you have to, as you're practicing this, think about the one motion, not stuck, and then another motion. It's similar, actually. Vibrato is also a ballistic motion. Vibrato is also, you don't go up, down, up, down, up, down. You go da-da, da-da. It's a ballistic motion where you're throwing one direction, yeah, baba. So this one, with a lot of bow. So it has all that ring in it, right? Do you understand?
Lo puedes traducir perfecto.
Sí. Es un movimiento, lo que se llama de movimiento balístico, que es como un rebote. Y así funciona también el vibrato. Y te estaba diciendo que con el dedo mínimo puedes ponerlo arriba del arco y así te resulta más fácil y no tienes que hacer mucha fuerza. Eso sí. Exacto.
Yeah. Okay. Good. So you'll work on that. Let's talk about something else now. So you asked about the beginning, and let's look at that. So you want to move each one up closer to the frog as you're doing it. So. And what we're looking for is, again, a lot of bow. So you don't. It's not that, right?
Te dice que cada vez que toques vas a aproximar más el arco del talón y que igual es un movimiento grande que no tenés que hacerlo chico solo por eso.
Just try. So which is more important, the up bow or the down bow?
¿Cuál es el más importante? ¿Cuál arco? ¿El arco para arriba o el arco para abajo?
Which one? Tell me in words. Which is more important, the up bow or the down bow?
Te pregunta qué arcada es más importante.
La de abajo.
The down bow.
No, because the melody is. Those are the main notes. The energy, though, is on the down bow. You're right. Right? So it's two opposite things. You want to explain?
Sí, dijo que la melodía está en el arco para arriba, pero la energía tiene que estar en el arco para abajo. Son dos cosas diferentes.
So the up bow is more important for the sound, basically, but the down bow has the energy. Ba-ba, ba-ba. The down bow has the energy. The up bow relaxes. Relax. Relax.
El arco para arriba es para el sonido, para la calidad del sonido, y el arco para abajo es la energía o el rebote.
Right. So when you're practicing and go about that far on the B. So you want the B here, the D here, and the F here. Do very slowly like that. Dante, that's good. Good. You already got the idea. Now you have to practice this very, very slowly, obviously. I suggest 2, 3. So for the vibrato, I think for me it works better to do 2, 3 then. And the whole time be going for the sound that's very, very resonant. Nothing like that, right?
Que busque cada vez el sonido más resonante.
To there. Not to the frog. Don't go back to the frog. That's getting there. So when you're practicing, just do that once.
Estudies así.
No, let's start the first one. Right, but we don't want that. We don't want that. We want. So keep the bow on the string, just very, very light. Right. So very light. Right, you probably need a little bit more bow there. Okay, good. That, by the way, is related to another thing you're doing. Let me just move to one other thing, and then I'll come back to this. When you play, you're playing very short. You want long, because that's the important part of the chord there. You know, this is the tonic at the moment. So don't play, right? Can you do that? Yeah, but don't come off. Don't come off the string. Keep it on. That's getting there. Now you don't want to make it so heavy, you know, it's still light, you know.
Es ligero, no es pesado.
Too short. Bum, 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 bum.
Es un poco más largo.
Yeah. That was better. So what is the key here? What key are you in?
¿Cuál es la tonalidad?
Sol mayor.
G major.
G major. And what's the second chord?
¿Y el segundo acorde cuál es?
La menor.
A minor.
Segundo acorde de la do.
Do. Yeah. Do. So it's the subdominant, right, of the G major. Yes.
La subdominante.
Yeah. Go to the next one in the development. Can you play the one in the development?
Te pide que toques la otra.
Yeah, that's the second one was better. Just a little bit longer and more. So what key are you in here?
¿Qué tonalidad estamos ahí?
What?
La menor.
La menor. And then the next chord? Ba, ba.
¿Y el otro acorde?
La menor.
Which one? Do.
D
D minor.
D.
D minor.
D. Yes. D major. D minor. Right. Yeah. D minor. Yeah. And then play the one in the recap. Right. Play the one in the recap later.
Te pide que toques.
Same thing. It's the same thing with that up bow, right? When you play the up bow.
¿Qué es lo mismo?
Right. What key are you in here?
¿En qué tonalidad estamos hoy?
Do mayor.
Do major. Yeah. And then the other chord?
Sol. Fa, perdón.
Fa, right? F, right?
F.
Yeah, okay. Again, it's the subdominant relationship there, yeah. That's important. Okay, good. So now go back to the second one of that. Same idea. So in the beginning. Right. So are you wanting to bounce there at all?
Que si querés, que si tenés ganas de como saltar con el arco.
O sea, lo he intentado, pero como que no lo logro hacer. No, como que...
He's trying to, but he can't finish.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, my question is if you want to, because that's up to you. If you want to or not. You know, it doesn't say to do that, but if you want to, just do that once. Down, up. Right.
Yes.
Good. So you have to to do that, you have to find where you want to be in the bow. And sometimes it helps to have the bow tilted a little bit away from you. You have to find exactly where it is so that you know it's going to work. Right? Just try it, find it.
Te pide que busques en el arco dónde querés usarlo.
Right, but it's unnecessary. You don't have to do it. You can do it, you know, on the string more, in which case you'll probably be a little closer to the frog. If you want to be more bounced, you'll be a little further away, right? You understand? You understand, right? So let me do that.
Traduz para ele, Clarinha.
Te dice que tienes que... Si quieres hacerlo así, no es tan cerca del talón, más cerca de la punta. Pero que no hay problema si no quieres hacerlo, que es como vos elegís.
Lo tengo pensado, pero como que no sabía cómo estudiarlo.
Eso te dijo que más cerca de la punta y con el arco un poco inclinado.
¿Quieres hacerlo así con los saltos o no quieres
Quiere hacerlo con los saltos?
The little finger is again very, very important for this kind of a stroke. So like, again, you know, this concerto, as I told you before, is virtuosic. So I know you didn't play this part now, but you had it on the tape. You were going, you know, there's no reason you can't do. Right? Just try that. Right. The first note has to start from the string. Right. And that little finger, this is the balance finger. That little finger takes it off.
El meñique te da el equilibrio.
Right. Just play the one chord. First note has to be from the string. You're trying to lift before the first note. Just do this.
No levantes tu arco antes de la primera nota. La primera nota en la cuerda.
Yes. Now, actually, let's just do. Wait. Do from the string. Just do that.
Desde la cuerda. Que no intentes no sacar el arco de la cuerda.
Don't play the chord. Don't play the
Sin el acorde.
Again. Right. Now you don't have to lift very much here. It's very close to the string. If you lift too much, it'll take too much time to come back down. So almost no lift. Just find balance.
Bueno, Professor,
Perdón.
I think we have to finish the class song.
Dante, you played very well. I'd search for these virtuosic things, like the harmonic there, coming off the string a little bit. Let's see. Some of, even, you know, I didn't talk about this yet, but even just finding more freedom of the bow. Just finding much more freedom in your bow, which may mean that you might want to change some of your bowings to reflect that, you know, like. So you have, you know, instead of, it's a little pedestrian, you know, it's a little bit just common. So that you have a freedom in the playing and that you can use more colors. You need much more color in your playing. It's a little bit all the same color. And look for much more variety in these, like the second theme there, that it has a really sort of a little bit of sadness to it. And, you know, search for a different color with the contact point awakening speed, okay? But you're playing, you know, technically very, very well. You're doing really nicely. Look for the virtuosity, look for the elegance, look for the classical style, and it's making good progress.
¿Has comprendido, Dante?
Te dijo que tocas muy, te dijo que tocaste muy bien, que felicidades y que busques virtuosidad y elegancia y
¿De verdad? ¿O sí?
sí,
También,
y
¿no?
que eso puedes llegar a alcanzarlo con más libertad de arco y capaz de cambiar algunas arcadas. Creo que dijo eso. Muchas gracias y bueno, perdóname por la traducción.
Gracias, Clarita. Bueno, so now we have another student, Calliope Correa. Calliope, we have another student. Calliope, let's see. Oh, yes, she's here.
Hello.
Hello, how are you?
Oh, you speak English?
Yes.
Oh, very nice, good. I wish I could speak Portuguese. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself first?
Sure. Okay. I'm Calliope. I study in Porto Alegre Symphony Orchestra's Conservatory. I participate from the last counterpoint that Dr. Ari Strashfield organized.
Yeah.
I read that teaches in the same university you do, right?
That's right, yeah. Yeah, wonderful violinist.
Play it to him.
Okay.
So.
Great.
I send you the video from Fantasy 2, from Schumann.
Right.
The first movement. I have studied the first, the second, and the third movements, and the Allemande from the first suite. So
what?
You decide what you want to have.
I think it might be nice to play a little bit of the first again. We can work on some things in the first movement.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You want to play some of it now? You want to play it?
Can you see me well?
You know, it's funny. Let me ping you. There you are. Okay, good. I still see Dante for some reason there. Let me see if I can get you logged. right. Just finish up.
I'm a little...
That's all right. Keep going. Good. Okay. I'm sure everybody's applauding in listening to you. Nice. So let's see. Do you have any before I talk? Do you have any questions about anything in particular that you want me to address?
No. I'm just a little afraid about the big shifts from the
Okay.
but I have to study. It's just
Okay. We can talk about that. I'll make sure I talk about that one. Good. So tell me what you know. What do you know about this piece, and what do you feel about this piece? In other words, what do you know? When was it written, and what were the circumstances when you wrote it? And then what do you feel about, what is this piece saying?
I heard a lot of things about the shaman, and I know that he passed for a lot of emotional moments, that he was depressive and things like that. But I heard a lot of stories about these specific trees, and I don't even know what is the really true, right? So I heard a lot of records, and I decided to be involved with a lot of players, but I don't have like one specific story about this piece that I know that is the truly story.
Okay. Okay. And do you have in your mind, do you have an idea of what you're wanting to say with this piece? So it's called fantasy pieces. Do you have a fantasy for this?
I think it's a super mysterious piece. Like we don't know really. I don't know how can I say that. Like it's super mysterious and go to a point and then return, but we don't know. Like I can't imagine a place with the piece. I always try to imagine a place with the pieces, but in this one I can just imagine like in the last part, right? I imagine something really mysterious,
Oh, good. Okay. Okay. So that's nice. I think it's very helpful with a piece like this. Some people like to do stories or images or colors. Some people really see colors when they're playing. But I think it's helpful to have some kind of an idea that generates the sound that you're wanting for a piece, especially a piece like this. I think the Haydn concerto that we just heard, I don't know if that has a story necessarily, and I don't know that this has a story either. But I think it does have, for me, it's very dreamlike, lots of dreamy kinds of thoughts. Or I sometimes think clouds, like just being very floating in a cloud-like kind of state like that. I think it has lots, as you know, it has lots of arc shapes. And then all the half steps. So there's so many half steps in this. So there's a lot of this kind of up and down feeling of, maybe rolling hills or something. For me, the clouds works well because of the color. So instead of thinking of a hill, not that kind of a sound. misty. You know what mist?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
And dreamy, definitely dreamy. So this was actually written, you said, you know, he had a difficult, you know, some depression and sort of that sort of thing. This was written in a very happy period in his life, actually. So it was not that like, do you know about when it would have been written?
sorry, what did you say?
Do you know about the year? What about, just curious if you know about what period and so forth, what year? When?
Oh no, I don't know
Okay,
exactly.
so that's fine. It's about, you know, it was just right around 1850. So the middle of the Romantic period. So those romantic kind of poetry is very, very important to the people at that time. So I don't know if you've read any poetry by Goethe or Schiller or Heine. All those poets, those German poets, the images that they have are very useful, again, for thinking about a piece like this and the kinds of sounds we want. So,
Professor JESSELSON, yeah. I'm just going to translate a little bit for the people who are listening to, okay? Gente, ele só está falando, se alguém não entendeu, ele só está falando no geral que a gente tem que fazer uma imagem dessa peça. Ela se chama Fantasia e que também não tem uma história por trás dela, foi escrita num período até que feliz do Schumann, mas tem para tocá-la, a gente pode fazer várias imagens na cabeça da gente. É isso em geral que ele está falando. Thank you.
Okay, good. Trying to, now we'll talk more about the, oh, actually I was going to say, have you listened to any other Schumann, not the symphonies and so forth, but have you listened to some of the songs, the Lieder by Schumann?
Oh, I heard some things.
That'd be great. Yeah, maybe go listen to Dichterliebe, the songs of love. What?
What's the name of the piece?
It's called, in German, Dichterliebe, the poet of love, sort of, poetry of love.
E ele está falando para ela ouvir um pouquinho as canções do Schumann, como as canções de amor do Schumann.
Yeah, just listen to some of the Lieder, the songs of Schumann especially. He was terrific with small pieces. Schumann was fantastic with the intimate kind of pieces. And his wife, Clara Schumann, who was a pianist by herself, she wanted him to write big pieces. So he wrote, you know, some larger, he tried writing larger pieces and he wasn't quite as successful. I mean, I love his symphonies too, but I think it's his small pieces, the songs and pieces like the fantasy pieces and Adagio and Allegro and other pieces that are smaller pieces that are where he's really brilliant. You know.
Então, ele fala que Schumann era muito bom nas pequenas peças, que a Clara Schumann queria que ele escrevesse coisas grandes, como, por exemplo, as sinfonias. Mas o que o Schumann realmente é bom são nas pequenas peças.
One of the problems with Schumann's writing in the larger pieces is that he often writes in very square 4 measures. But look at this, you know, phrases that are 4 measures at length. Which is very regular, and you know, it's very nice. It's wonderful pieces, and in fact, the concerto is one of my very favorite concertos, the Schumann concerto. But the nice thing about this piece, it's not written in 4 groups of 4 measures. You know, they're 3 and 2, and so it gives, again, it's not this. It gives this more irregular kind of dreamy kind of a state.
Então, uma das coisas das grandes peças do Schumann é que ele é sempre em 4 compassos de frase. E essa daqui, ela tem 3 compassos, 2 compassos, quer dizer, dá essa coisa de sonho na música.
So, now that's in general. Now let's talk specific about this. So, one of the big problems with this piece, there are 2 big problems with this piece. One is that he tells us, Zarten mit Ausdruck. I don't know if you know what that means in German. He says tender and with expression, but then he says quarter note is 80. Quarter note 80 is very slow. I mean, it's
Ele está falando do andamento, viu, gente?
Oh, yeah.
It's like that slow. and yet he has one slur over all those notes. Sorry, all those notes. I left out a note even, or maybe is it two slurs originally? I can't. Maybe it's two slurs. So. You know, it's very hard to get a dreamy sound with that. So there are two problems here. One is that you have to realize that what he wrote is not bowings. He was not writing the way other composers would write bowings very specifically. He was writing more phrasing. Okay, so the first thing to know is that you don't have to follow the bowings that are there. Okay, that's good. Yeah. The second thing you have to know is that the 80 tempo. If you listen to recordings of even really fine players, they start out. Some of them start out at 80, but by what's that?
I heard a lot of Mishamaisky video. He played super fast.
Well, what I was going to say is that a lot of players start 80 and then get faster and faster and faster.
O que ele está dizendo é que o Schumann escreveu na colcheia isso daí, coloca o tempo de colcheia, mas que acaba, o pessoal começa a tocar devagarinho e depois não aguenta e vai sendo sempre muito mais rápido.
So it's like almost not completely honest, you know, that they're trying very hard to follow 80, but then they give up on it because it's, you know, it just doesn't quite work at 80. So in my mind, I think, let's take 80 with a grain of salt. Let's not necessarily feel like you have to be 80. So
Por isso que não precisa a gente sentir essa colcheia em 80.
I think more important is that you convey the dream state or the fog, the mist, or something like that. Okay. So now with the bones, have you tried different bones, or are you getting your bones from your teacher, or how have you done the bones?
I am taking the bones about like the sheet music that I found. I'm using is like right in this card.
Was it somebody who edited it, or is it pretty much what Schumann wrote?
I don't know the name of the editing, but it's like, let me show you.
Yeah, okay. So that's more or less the original. And that's what I'm saying, you don't have to follow that.
Então, ele está falando que esse é o original e que ela não precisa usar essas arcadas, porque isso é mais fraseado.
I think it's more important that you find the sound that you want. There are a million different possibilities for the bowings. Literally, there's so many. I can do, or I can do, or I can do up bow, or I can do a million different things. And every time I play this piece, I change it. You know, I
falou que toda vez que ele toca essa peça, ele muda os arcos.
So, but, you know, I have some music in front of me that from the last time I played it, and even with that, actually, I looked at it yesterday, and I said, maybe I would do it a little differently still now. So what I came up now is like. I'd rather have more, you know, change of bow and be able to have faster bow speed, and then be able to reflect more what's there. For example, in the beginning, he has a little crescendo decrescendo on the F, right? You see that? So I need more bow for that. If I did, it would be too harsh a sound, I think. I don't know if you can tell.
Ele está falando da questão do arcada, né, gente? Se a gente segue aquela arcada de fraseado, a gente aperta o som e daí não consegue fazer essa fantasia que tem no Schumann.
So what I'm saying is, as you're working on this now, I would let yourself be much freer in what you're coming up with the bows, okay? And just experiment, and you'll find what works for you. You may have to search a little bit. So I'm not going to talk much about bowings anymore, maybe one or two spots, but just know that almost anything is okay.
Okay.
Okay? So just try something different.
Okay. Sorry.
So one of the tricks then is to not change the bow on the beat. So in this kind of music, you know, earlier music, classical music, the downbeat was the strong beat. 1, 2, 3 was strong, 4, right? In this music, because you don't want to feel ba dee da da dee da da, you don't want that. You want to not do a lot of accents on the downbeat, a lot of bow changes on the down. So like, just try that. And don't change then. Don't accent the E. Try to mix it and go past the E. Just try to.
Ele está falando que nessa música não é para a gente acentuar os primeiros tempos, como a gente está acostumado a fazer. Então, para ela não trocar o arco nos tempos fortes, quer dizer, para não tocar nos tempos fortes. Pode ir, Calil.
Now you have much more freedom, so you can have a higher contact. So it starts piano, so it's not, you know, that sound. It's just higher, close to the fingerboard.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, all right. Try to be a little bit freer now with the rhythm on this. Doesn't have any.
Okay.
Ah, that was nice. That was nice.
Okay.
Try a different bowing now. It doesn't have to be that one. Try another one. Start it up bow. Yeah. Also try different fingering. Try that one. Because then you get more of an even sound on the A string, and then you go across. If you
Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry.
just start on the F. Great. Yeah. So the advantage of that is it doesn't change the color from the A string to the D string right away. You know, you can hide the color better, the change there. Okay, so all through here, look for things that are not changing the bow on the downbeat or the third beat. Look across another beat. So, for example, where's the spot I wanted to say, that spot, you know, this is, rather than changing the bow on the A, or you might need more bow, change on the B flat.
Ele Ele está falando ainda de arcadas, tá, gente? Para ela mudar arcadas.
There on the finished arpeggio, do it not on the down, on the third beat. Don't go, because that makes it very even, but rather change one later or one earlier.
Okay. Sorry, I'm.
That's right. I know, it's very hard to do it in this square amount, but I'm just giving you an example of places that you don't change, you know, do you understand the concept? That you don't, not that, but, or, like 3 and 5, or 5 and 3.
Changing the middle of the...
Yeah, right. Let's talk now about your shift that you asked about. That shift. Right, okay. Is that a problem?
Sometimes.
Okay.
I have problems like to make the shift because I'm dealing with the first finger, like
Oh, I see. If you did it on second finger, that would make it really easy. If you did 2-2, right? So when you're up on the C here, your thumb should be on the A. Just do that.
okay.
Can you try that?
Okay. I was doing with the first finger because I like, and then I tapped with the third finger.
Oh. You want a classical shift there?
Yes.
So, personally, I would do a romantic shift there. I think it's safer,
Okay.
and you can go either to 2 or you can go to 3. If you
O
go to
professor falou que ele gosta mais de uma mudança mais romântica do que clássica. Do jeito que ela está fazendo 1-3 é mais clássica, e ele está falando para ir com 2-2. Ok.
If you go to 2, then your thumb is on the A. If you go to 3, then your thumb is back and your first finger's on the A. So, right? If I were you, I would make shifts one of the warm-ups. I don't know if you've heard my warm-up session. Shifts are hard. You know, I find them hard to do big shifts. So I would suggest that every day you do every string. Then do the other one, do the 2-3. Right? But as you do it, think about preparation of the elbow, that you're in place with the elbow before you actually move. Show me that. Just do that. See?
Anticipating the...
Yeah. So let's say you're going to play that C, but you're not going to move. Don't move. And then come back. find where the elbow is here. So it's there.
Professor Jesselson, we have to end the lesson in some minutes.
Ah, okay. How long do we have?
3 minutes.
Okay. All right. So the shift, just working on the shift there. And then I don't know if you heard some of the things I was saying about making sure that you shift on that side of the finger. When you go 2-2, that you're not shifting like this, but that you're shifting like this. So your angle of your finger is that, yeah. But shift not from, yeah, but you're shifting from the finger. Shift from the arm. From the arm, yeah. Then the next question is how fast or how slow you want to do. So you could do slow, fast, slow, fast, or you could do fast, slow, or you could do fast, fast. I don't think it's that. Or slow, slow. Paul Katz was one of my teachers. He always would say, all shifts are slow shifts. So I think the concept is really good. Even if you do a fast shift, it's still a slow shift. In other words, and then of course you have to get the right speed for what you want to say musically. Let me just see. At the end there, I would suggest taking a little time. I don't know if it doesn't really say retard, but at the end, ba-dee-da-dum, ba-dee-da-dum. I would take a little bit of time there as you go down.
Okay.
I guess we have to stop. I would have liked to have talked a little bit about vibrato, but there's, of course, not enough time. Vibrato in this piece is a really important aspect of it. And so look again at just how you're doing your vibrato in general. What kind of a vibrato. Every note has a different vibrato, a different kind of vibrato. Not every note, but every phrase, certainly, right? And that you're thinking about the speed and the width of those vibratos as you play it. So that, what kind, how fast, how wide open, maybe the angle of the hand as you're doing it. Think about that all along, because that's a big part of the color of the clouds or the dream or whatever it is. The vibrato becomes really important.
Que o vibrato é uma...
What's that?
Fale, Calil.
Vibrato for a part that is most mysterious than the others. Okay, I understood.
Yeah.
O professor falou que o vibrato, ele tentar diferentes vibratos, porque daí vai dar esse mistério, essa coisa meio fantasmática da peça, sonhadora, né? Tá ótimo. Calilpe, obrigada, viu, querida? Muito obrigada. Agora a gente tem we have to move on.
Okay, just say one last thing is that first work with the bow, the way we were working with the bow, the bowings and the kind of, sound and so forth with the bow, and then work with the vibrato. Don't work with the vibrato right away. First, think about your bowings and
okay.
your fingering, and then you can think about the vibrato. Okay?
Okay.
Good.
Thank
Very
you
nice.
so much. It was an honor to play for you.
Okay,
Really.
It's nice to hear you play.
So
Yeah.
much.
And I'll tell Ari that I heard you.
Okay, thank you. Really.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so let's start with Juan Inácio Veloso. Obrigado, Calilpe.
Thank you. Obrigado.
Juan is right here.
Bom
Hello,
dia.
Juan.
Olá.
Let's see, I don't see him yet.
Hello.
Juan is not from Brazil also. I think we are going to call Clara to help us with this. Yeah.
Olá.
Yes.
Hola.
Clara is from Uruguay. She can translate easily.
I'm
So,
hold a second, because I just lost the video. not seeing. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
For some reason I'm.
Ahora,
Hola, but I'm not seeing you.
Okay, just a moment. Maybe he's is now okay?
No, I
Is
don't.
that okay?
I don't see him.
¿me escuchan?
Sí, te escuchamos.
Sí,
¿Me ven?
sí, te vemos. No te
No le
preocupes.
veo al maestro.
No, pero
Ahí
te
lo veo.
acalma
Ahí.
que ya lo ponemos aquí contigo. ¿Ahora lo ves?
I don't see.
A usted lo veo.
Sí. En principio vas a estar en primer plano, después pongo el maestro, ¿sí? Con usted.
Total.
¿Sí? Bueno, ¿puedes decirnos de dónde vienes? ¿Qué
Sí,
vas a
soy
tocar?
de Corrientes, de Argentina. Estudié
Argentina.
sí, norte de Argentina sería Corrientes. Estudié en el conservatorio de la ciudad acá y hace un año estoy en forma particular con Pablo Bercellini.
Okay.
Can you
Okay.
tell me a little bit about?
He's from Argentina.
Okay.
He from the north of Argentina. Corrientes, ¿es eso, no? La ciudad.
Sí, Corrientes.
Corrientes. ¿Y cuánto tiempo tocas el cello?
Hace 10 años.
¿Cuántos?
10 años.
Hace
7.
10 años.
10
10 años. 10 años.
10 years. 10 years he plays the cello.
Oh, okay. And
Oh.
Studying at university?
¿Estás estudiando en una universidad? ¿O
No,
conservatorio?
entro el año que viene.
¿Cómo?
Entro el año que viene.
Ah, bueno. Next year he's gonna be in the university.
Okay, great.
Okay, so, ¿qué vas a tocar?
La sonata número 5 de Vivaldi, el segundo movimiento.
Vivaldi. Bueno,
Okay,
he's gonna play the Vivaldi.
okay, good.
¿Eso?
Sí, por favor.
Okay, nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, before I say anything, just tell me if you have any special questions or things that you want me to talk about.
¿Tienes alguna pregunta o algo que quieras hablar o que quieras que te explique?
He leído un libro de Hanukov, quien dice que cuando hay notas muy largas así sin intervalo, había una que se podía quedar más y algo así, con el estilo barroco.
He's asking about the Baroque style and when you have two same notes, if one of them can last longer or not.
Oh yeah, good question. And in fact, that would be something I was going to talk about anyway. So that's a great question. First of all, I think music is not music composition is not a democracy. Not all the notes are the same. I think that's kind of important to realize. They're not all the same. Like that's our ideal for the world, but it's not for the notes on the page. And some are longer, some are shorter, some are louder, some are softer, different strokes and things like that. And that's true in Baroque music as well as in any music. In fact, in some ways in Baroque music even more so, because one of the things you want to try to do is bring out different voices and of course different colors also. So let's talk first about the stroke and related to what we're talking about here. So what kind of a stroke are you thinking of on the 16th notes?
Te dijo que música, que es una buena pregunta y que lo iba a hablar igual. Dijo que música no es una democracia y hay notas más importantes que otras y no todas son iguales. Y te pregunta qué tipo de arcadas querés trabajar en las notas rápidas.
And what kind of a stroke is he thinking about on the 16th?
Détaché.
Did you say détaché?
Yeah.
Okay, good. So in a general principle for Baroque music is the shorter notes are longer and the longer notes are shorter. So the 16th notes are more of a détaché, that's right, that's good. And the 8th notes are a little bit more of sort of a brushy off the string kind of stroke. That one. So they're actually a little bit shorter compared to, you don't play like that, you play with a lot of air in the sound in that way. But the 16th notes are more détaché, right? But there's still several different kinds of détachés you can do. You want to translate that much? Or?
Yes, thank you. Te dijo que un principio general para la música barroca es que las notas rápidas puedes hacerlas como détaché, como dijiste, y las notas más lentas las separas un poco más, como más aire entre las notas. Y te pregunta específicamente para las semicorcheas qué tipo de détaché querés hacer, porque hay varios tipos.
Okay, so the 16th notes, you can do much more variety in them. So you could do a détaché in this part of the bow, You could do a détaché, which sounds different there. You could do what I call a brushy off the string stroke, which is still a kind of a détaché, right? Or you could do, which of course is much shorter, not a détaché anymore. So there are at least 4 different kinds of détachés or off the string that you could do. You could do it here, you could do it here, and you could do off the string, right? You want to say that?
Te estaba mostrando todos los tipos diferentes de detalle que puedes hacer, más cerca del talón o más como saltando la cuerda, como cepillando, brushing. Y ahora hay que decir qué tipo es mejor para la música.
Okay. So, for example, yeah, let's try the one in the middle first. So that's going to be with the lower arm, middle of the bow.
Que intentes en el medio del arco primero.
More in the middle. Yeah. A little bit faster.
Más rápido. Un poco más rápido.
Play the beginning. Right, now that when you go to that note, to the B, do you have to have more weight or less weight?
Te pregunta si cuando llegas al sí tienes que poner más peso o menos peso en el arco.
Menos.
Right.
Less weight.
So that it has the same. One more time. The B sounds too short compared to the other notes. Now, you know, it may be the internet. It may be through the internet, but so do you need more bow or less bow on the B?
Te dijo que el sí estaba un poco corto y que si precisas más o menos arco.
Menos arco.
No, más.
Más arco.
Menos, más. To get the same kind of sound. Yeah, without changing. Yeah, don't change the tempo. So.
Sin cambiar el tiempo.
Yeah, still doesn't sound completely the same. Doesn't sound less weight. Yeah, so just repeat it a few times. Don't change the tempo. Yeah, ba 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 beep ba 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 ba. And try to get exactly the same kind of length and the same kind of sound for every note.
Intenta hacer con que dure lo mismo cada nota.
Right, something like that. Okay, now try it. Here.
En el talón no.
Right, now when you're doing that stroke, that now here was in the middle of the, it was the lower arm, middle of the bow. Now it's going to be upper arm and wrist. Upper arm and wrist. So it's not, but can you see my wrist is moving a little bit too, but from here.
Ahí vas a usar antes estabas usando tu antebrazo, ahora vas a usar tu brazo y tu muñeca.
Try to keep the same détaché you just had. It'll be a different sound. This is more in the string. This is a little lighter, actually.
Que intentes mantener el mismo detalle que tenías antes, pero ahora en el tono.
Aha, okay. Now try a brushing off the string, which is comes a little bit off. It's like it scoops a little bit like that. As opposed to, you hear the difference? I don't know if you can hear it on the internet.
Te pregunto si puedes notar la diferencia entre el primer arco que estabas haciendo y ahora que intentes salir un poco de la cuerda.
Yeah, don't rush, just bop, bop, beep, bop, beep, bop, beep, bop, Right, just make sure that B is still, and it's kind of a scoop. Every stroke kind of goes in and out a little bit. Right, okay. So let's try all three of those. This one, and the scoop. You know?
Ahora vamos a intentar las tres diferentes arcadas.
Yeah, the third one, keep it still long, you know. Now the fourth one will be that. Now we come off.
Y ahora la cuarta arcada es cuando sí salimos de la cuerda.
Right, yeah. So that one does come off, but it's not that bad, you know. It still has length. Right. So now your choice is you can use all four of those someplace in the piece. Can you say that?
Ahora lo que tenés que decidir es que puedes usar las cuatro arcadas en puntos diferentes de la pieza.
So, for example, I mean, it's your choice. You can choose which one you use where, but you want to have more variety, so they're not all the same. Every time you have 16th notes, yeah, it's basically that kind of a sound, but it has variety. So you might do. It's not just softer, but it's a different stroke. Right? You can choose, and in different place. You have a slightly different thing. You might even vary it in the middle of it. You know, you could change it in the middle of the 16th note, but just so that you have more variety, so they're not all the same. Exactly. Can you say that?
Te dijo que puedes intercalar las arcadas y así tenés más variedad y puedes traer colores diferentes y cosas diferentes, interpretaciones diferentes para tu música.
So now let's talk about the eighth notes. So the eighth note. So these are going to start from, every note has to start from the string, so it speeds. So, but it has a lot of air in it.
Con esas notas, todas empiezan desde la cuerda, pero hay bastante como aire entre ellas.
So play very slowly. Now, every note starts
Las notas empiezan en la cuerda y después salen. Te pregunto si puedes verlo, que las notas empiezan en la cuerda y después sale el arco.
So I can't tell, you know, with the internet, it sounds to me more like you're going. Unsure. Can you hear the difference?
Que si puedes notar la diferencia.
Sí. Yes.
You hear it, yeah. Okay. So it's not. And you hear the ring. Can you hear? It's ringing. Can you hear that ring?
Sí, puedes escuchar que sigue sonando después que sale el arco.
So the secret.
Exacto.
It's not from the vibrato. It's not the vibrato. It still rings without any vibrato. No vibrato.
Sin vibrato.
The secret to a good sound on the cello, this is true for everything we play, even Dvorak or anything you play, the secret is the ring. If you can find ring in the sound, then you already have a more beautiful sound. That's why we do the vibrato, because it helps to make it ring.
El secreto para tocar cello es hacer con que suene así, quede sonando, y que si usamos vibrato para hacerla más fácil, pero que hay que hacerlo igual.
Right? So every note that didn't ring there. Put it like that, very slowly. Good. That was already better. That was had already more ring. Now you can add vibrato. I mean, I think when you're playing this kind of music, vibrato is okay. They say, you know, there's an argument about whether Baroque music they use vibrato or not. They use that as an ornament. We know they use it as an ornament, but I think, you know. So I think it's okay to use some vibrato in this, okay? Because that'll help the ring.
Creo que está bien que si quieres usar un poco de vibrato, que te va a ayudar a que suene.
I don't see any vibrato right now.
Que vibres.
So. Not that kind of vibrato. It's a very fast vibrato. Very
Que
fast.
el vibrato barroco es más rápido, muy rápido.
I would work slowly like that for connecting the left hand and the right hand and making sure that you can vibrate every note.
Te dijo que trabajes así, despacio, y así conectas las dos manos y para que trabajen juntas y para que funcione bien tu vibrato.
Now let's
Yes.
think about let's think about the voices here, how to bring out the voices. How many voices? Do you know what I mean by voices?
Te pregunta cuántas voces y si entendés qué quiere decir por voces, cuántas voces hay en esa parte.
Does he understand what I mean by voices?
I'm asking.
Yo,
¿Perdón?
arriba y abajo. Dos. Pam, 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 pam.
He says there's two voices, one that's high and one that's low.
I think there's three actually. So we have is one. The second is that one. So you have, and then the third is the answer, that one. three. Right? Three voices.
Sí, tres voces.
Can you hear the three voices when I'm playing?
¿Sí pudiste escuchar las tres voces cuando tocó?
Sí.
Okay.
Yep.
So how do we bring out the three voices? What are the tools that we have to bring out the voices?
Entonces, ¿qué podemos hacer para mostrar las tres voces? ¿Qué herramientas podemos usar para mostrarlas?
I mean, what do we...
Vibrato.
What's that?
Vibrato.
Well, vibrato could be one of them, but there are many tools that we have. One of the tools is dynamics. So you can play this one really soft. So you at least hear two voices that way. Soft. Soft. So dynamics could be one. Another one is the length, the kind of stroke you do. So you long, shorter, longer, longer, and then soft. Longer, shorter, longer, shorter, longer, longer, soft, soft, right? So we can do it, there are lots of things you can do. You can use vibrato, but I think first let's maybe try dynamics and stroke. So long, short, long, short, long, long, then the dynamics. So let's just try. Sorry, I lost.
Professor?
Yeah.
I think we have just more 1 minute or two, okay, to finish this.
Practicing that. When you're practicing this, I would suggest you tear apart the three voices, you know, and really hear them differently and try to bring them out differently. So the first voice, the second, and the third. Right? And really understand, you know, maybe even, sometimes I ask my students to make color on the music.
Dijo que hay varias maneras de separar las tres voces, que sí, con vibrato también, pero lo principal o lo que puedes estudiar ahora es dinámica y cuánto arco vas a usar en cada voz. Y te dijo que estudies así, que las separes las tres y... ¿qué dices?
Eso, ¿no?
Creo que sí.
En la primera voz hago más arco, en las otras dos menos.
Exacto.
And then one last thing I need to say is measure 7. For some reason you weren't playing all the notes in it. So you only played 2 of them. Right?
Digo que en esa parte no estás tocando todas las veces que aparece ese movimiento. Que
aparece 3 veces
capaz que
y
te comiste. Sí, te comiste 9.
No, me aparecen 2.
Son 3.
Measure 7.
3 veces.
En mi edición, capaz tengo que borrar mi edición.
Ah, bueno. He has a wrong edition.
Oh, so are they missing a beat?
¿No tiene un tiempo en tu edición?
No.
No.
Me la dio mi profesor nomás y... Al final tengo las 3. Pa pa pam, pa pam, pa pam, pa pa pam.
Yeah.
Now he
Okay.
has the 3 of them.
That's right. And then in this edition, measure 29 has 8th note. It's not a quarter note in this edition. I think that's right. I remember from another edition that it's 8th note. Right?
La corchea.
Compás 29 son corcheas.
Sí, a veces me gusta tirar un poquito, pero... Sí.
On some editions, there's a slur like that. I don't think that's right, though. But it is.
Okay.
I think it's that. Yeah. And by the way, try that bowing for yourself. If you do two slurred and two separate. It's a little bit more interesting, and I think it's correct. I think it's very Baroque to do that also.
Dijo que en esa parte intentes hacer cada con dos conectadas y dos separadas.
¿Arcos o rápido?
Arcos.
Right, two slurred, two separate, right? Yeah.
Las dos ligadas siempre las primeras.
Dos conectadas y dos separadas.
Sí. Bueno.
Perdón.
Bueno. Ignacio, Juan, ahora tenemos que, finalizar su clase, sí. Bueno, gracias por ter tocado y, bueno.
Por favor, a ustedes.
Thank you very much. Nice job.
Iván, maestro, gusto conocerlo, ¿eh?
Thank you.
Okay, so Professor JESSELSON, thank you very much for this lesson. It was really a great pleasure for us, and I'm sure the students could enjoy a lot your class. And I don't know, Angela, do you want to say something else?
If they have questions, they can email me, but in English, please.
Ok, se vocês tiverem algumas perguntas, por favor, mandem para o Dr. JESSELSON, que ele responde sem nenhum problema, ele está aberto a qualquer tipo de ajuda, né? Mas, por favor, em inglês, porque o português ele ainda não aprendeu, né? Ok, so...
So good to see you, Milene.
Yes, for me... Oh, just yesterday was like 1 year that I was with you. I saw on Facebook the photos and all the thing with the students. And it was so good time there in the United States. Oh, with you and Sarah and the students. Well, so, Dr. JESSELSON, thank you so much for this lesson, and we hope see you soon. Okay.
Yes, I hope so.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for Angela, thank you so much. It was nice seeing you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Ok. So, ok. Pessoal, beijo para todos. Tchau. E a gente se encontra daqui a pouco. 5h30, a Bianca vai dar aula para os pequenos. E a gente, 8 horas, tem uma palestra imperdível com o professor Cassiano Barros sobre a retórica no barroco. Ele foi meu professor, eu fiquei encantada com ele, com todo o conhecimento que ele tem. Vale a pena conferir, tá, pessoal? Eu que nunca gostei muito, assim, fiquei apaixonada, é muito legal. Conhecer os tratados, enfim, a sabedoria é muito, muito, muito bonita, né? Essa sabedoria antiga. Então, estão todos convidados para 20 horas assistir a palestra do professor Cassiano e 5h30 a aulinha com a Bianca. Certo, professora Ângela?
Certo, até daqui a pouco, gente. Tchau, tchau,
pessoal. Tchau. Até daqui a pouco. Obrigado, sim?